What's up guys, the Strong Boys 19 here, and welcome to a new album review. Today I'm going to be reviewing the latest album from a band called Five Finger Death Punch, entitled Afterlife. This is the band's 9th studio album to be released in their discography, and this is a record label called Better Noise Music that was involved for the credit on this record. And this is the follow-up to their last album back in 2020. Las Vegas-based metal band Five Finger Death Punch were a band that I actually enjoyed quite a bit, and I'm not afraid to say this, that I did have a bit of a pleasure of liking the earlier stuff, and this is the debut album of The Way of the Fist, because I thought that Five Finger Death Punch were a band that I thought they had a lot of the passion and the dedication. Some of the riffs to the songs were really enjoyable and very consistent, and I was pretty impressed with what they were worth into some catchiness, groovy riffs, and especially for the band as musicians. But I've lost interest in the band completely from the two albums back in 2013 because the material over time was repetitive and so uninteresting that the admiration into this band's direction was falling even deeper than before. And with this record, I was pretty surprised that they would still like to continue of writing music, and just into this curiosity of what this record was like, why not for me just to come back to these guys and see what the result is. What I really have thought about on this album after these 47 minutes of this runtime on the album, after 12 tracks, this is without question a very bare minimal, bare bones, and a derivative effort. The originality into what I did like from this band was just all gone, was washed away, because after listening into these songs right here, I can't even describe what I have just listened to on this record. This album is a big mess right from the start, and even onto these opening lines on this album's opening track entitled Welcome to the Circus. From that point on, lyrically, from the start to the end, I will just obviously realize that the cringe and blandest amount of lyrics did begin. And even on the other tracks, that Ivan Moody was trying to have a strong force of inspiration into what he went through. And I know he went through a lot into difficulty from the past to now, involving addictions to alcohol, etc. But if he actually did try to really let these emotional feelings out, he could have made something very heartfelt and expressive. But these behaviors of lyrics like these is really not dedicating enough to the top of having something to be so heartfelt, because there's none of that whatsoever across this record. The other tracks, like Times Like These, when the band to this track started to derail, this is a terrible song, and instrumentally this is kind of like what other country rock type of styles that has been done earlier on. And this questions me if I was hearing something from a Nickelback album like All the Right Reasons, or even on the Dark Horse record. The other tracks, when they got really heavy into these pummeling, chugging riffs, they did try, but the pacing to the sound of the songs were really boring, terribly pedestrian. And when it goes into these other songs, like onto the last few legs on the record, this album goes into a complete nosedive on these unexpected and phoned in ideas of blending in not only the heaviness that they've done many times, but put in these industrial trap hip-hop beat styles, which puts me in a bit of an in-awe expression that makes me wonder, did this really happen? Because these ideas were there for the band, but it's the execution into these songs. Pick Up Behind You is another one with some very awful yet hilarious lyrics, like these verse sections. Verse lines like, "Do you remember when you said we never laughed? You set me up for failure, then you threw me in the trash. Do you remember how the pulse felt in my chest? Or did you simply block it out, erase it like the rest?" Track of Judgment Day, when Ivan Moody decides to go into this rapping form of talent and territory, and I know that the rest of the band were always open to find new things, and I do respect what they wanted to offer here, but Judgment Day is a broken example when the clear ideas of making something different does not deliver. Verse sections like, "You gotta watch for the shot, beware the ricochet, dance, 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 motherfucker, till the fat bitch sings. Playing Ring Around the Daisies with a shotgun shell." I think the only passable moment into the structures out of all the songs, I think instrumentally, All I Know is the one that I give it credit for, because the other songs, the way they were written, were, as I said, just terrible, but I think I would see the approach into the instrumentation on All I Know. Musically is really the main best part and focus, and I think one of the other really good moments on the album is the lead guitar work from a new member into this band's lineup of Andy James. The terrific playing and wonderful skill was all here, even on the heavy songs on this record, because he does have a lot of talent, just like, as I said, with the rest of the band. But all in all, this is a record that was awfully inconsistent, with no chemistry, no approach to delivery. On the production of this record, this is just so obliteratingly loud to these eardrums. Like, these so-called real drums, when I hear the snare, there's no punch, there's no attack. And I do find that there's some bits of melody onto the clean vocals from Moody. He did actually sound pretty nice when he tries to put in some variety into his own mind and expressions, most notably onto the later songs on this record, and even on the higher registers when he really goes up for it into expressive and difference on his tone. But legitimately, with all of these words being said, I can't find this album enough definition to defend this record enough, because Five Finger Death Punch were a band that did succeed, and they have succeeded for being one of the biggest selling bands of modern metal. If they like it this way, that's no big problem for me. What the basics of this band were that I did enjoy all just went down the drain. That's personally all I'd like to say about Afterlife by Five Finger Death Punch. Let me know what you think of this album in the comments down below. At a loss for words on this. The album rating I'm going to give for this record is a 2 out of 10. There were tiny positives, but most of the time just as bankrupt as something like what Father of All, what Green Day was. Would give credit to the band for what they like to do, and I give them a lot of respect though. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll keep you guys posted for more videos in the near future.